Hi, this is Patty Sliney, Handy Quilter National Educator here, and we had a question come up on one of our Facebook Pro-Stitcher groups, and it was a great question. It was somebody who had gone to the effort of cropping out some design motifs from another design, several of them, and wanted to try to connect them all in the correct order so she could make a brand new edge to edge design, and the designs were kind of out of order, and she just wanted and not aligned, they were misaligned, so they kind of look like this. So I wanted to show you how to do that. So first thing is, you want to make sure that if you are going to the effort of trying to crop out a piece of a design from an edge to edge design, that's perfectly fine to do. Just know that there are a couple of things that have to exist with your newly cropped design in order to be able to connect these designs here, um, so that their start and end points will snap together. So they have to contain the elements of a true edge to edge design, and those elements are start point on the left, stop point on the right, and both of those points, they have to lie on the same horizontal plane. So if I move my crosshairs, you can see I've kind of run my horizontal crosshair through the start and stop point. So this design retains those qualities, so we can call it an edge-to-edge design. If I were to take just this design and repeat it, those repeats would just snap right together, end point to start point. So let's check this one. Let's make sure it also has a start point on the left, stop point on the right, and yep, they're on the same horizontal plane. And let's just double check our last little design element, make sure that it also retains those qualities, and it does. So I should be able to connect these designs in whatever order I want. So what I'd like to do is I'd like this design here to stitch out. Actually, let's make this one. Let's make this one stitch out first. Then I want this one to stitch out second, and this one to stitch out last. So as you can see, as I touch them, if you look over here in your right sidebar, I'm on the workspace tab. And on the workspace tab, it's going to show everything that's on my workspace, all designs. If I had an area created, it would have an area line, which I don't. But you can see they're all out of order. If I want this one to stitch out first, it's actually in the second position. And then this curls two, I want to stitch out second, but it's not in second place. So they're all out of order. So the easiest thing to do first is I always recommend let's name them. So we know what one we want first, what one we want second. It's a lot easier. So let's rename this. And I'm not going to make it complicated. I'm just going to go ahead and, I don't know why it added, the Pro-Stitcher does some interesting things. Continuous line. This one we wanted first, so I'm going to call it number one. Why it had that extra wording on there. The next one is I want this one here, the curly Q, to be in the middle, so let's make this number two. Curls two, two. And then the daisy circle chain, and I can either select them by touching them here, or I can touch the line here. If you've ever had trouble trying to touch a design in the workspace and you just can't get it selected, use your right sidebar workspace tab, and it's much easier to touch the line. And so this one we want number to be number three. Okay, very clear what order I want here. So I know I want this one first. So I've got my order written down here. Now let's get them so they're lined up. So the easiest way to do that, because they're not aligned, whoops, is select my design. I want number one. And I'm going to move my crosshairs, which you would just, on your machine, just move your machine so your crosshairs are in kind of a blank area so you can see what you're doing. And you can always Zoom out a little if you want to for this. So I've got my first design selected, and now I'm going to use modify, reposition, and I'm going to reposition this design's endpoint to my crosshairs. So I'm on modify, reposition, and in the right sidebar on the reposition tab, I'm going to touch endpoint. Okay, so now at your machine, do not move your machine. You want your crosshairs to stay right there. You can drop the needle if you want so you don't accidentally bump the machine, because now we're going to go back to our workspace tab while we remain on modify reposition, and we're going to select design number 2. See, this is where it helps renaming. I want this design to go right here. So we're going to do modify reposition. I'm going to touch my reposition tab so I can get back to my tools. And now I'm going to pick, I want this design start point to go right to the crosshairs, which are sitting on the end point of design number 1. So I'm going to touch start point. Okay. So now these two designs are lined up. Now to get this design lined up, its start point on top of the end point of design number 2, I'm going to zoom way in, raise your needle, and then I'm going to move my crosshairs and try to get right on top, just like that. Let me zoom back out. Okay, now I'm still on modify reposition, you see right here. Let's go back to our workspace and let's select design number 3 to make it active. So I can go back to my repositioning tools, and I want this design start point to land here at my crosshairs, which is sitting on the end point of design number 2. Okay, let's refresh. Everything is lined up like I want, but we need one more step here. You can see these are not going to stitch out in correct order. If I were to group this, so let's group our design. We'll do a temporary group. You can see they're not in correct order. This is why I renamed them. We want them to stitch out 1, 2, 3. Right now, the way this is ordered, it's going to stitch out this design first, then this design, then this design. How do I know? Let's deselect everything by clicking on select none. Now watch what happens when I select all of them. Okay. So look at that. I've got these weird jumps. This is not stitching out in the order that I want. No problem. Once you've created a temporary group, you can select them and move their position. So I'm going to move this up to the number 1 position, and now I'm going to take number 3 and move this to the bottom position. Look what just happened. I have connecting squares. And I know I'm in the correct order in my temporary group now because remember, I renamed them, so they're going to stitch out 1, 2, 3. So if I baseline this, these black squares will go away, and I'll have a start end point. When I baseline, now I have one new design that is a single design. It says so here, it's a merged group, and it's going to stitch out just as though I digitized this design just like this. No start and stops, no extra commands contained in any of these elements, and instead of being 3 separate design elements, it's one single design element because I baselined it. So the last step would be do a file, save selected, and pick a folder. I have a little miscellaneous folder I created for these very things, and then you can call it whatever you want. I have no idea what to call this. Say grouped edge to edge design lesson. Save it. Now it's saved and I can use it, and I can go ahead and repeat it if I want. And it makes kind of a cool design, not gonna lie. It's pretty fun. And I can group it like this, and I can increase my gap a little bit. Let's get some spacing in there. And maybe I want to see if I can wrap it. Oh, I don't know about you, but I think that looks pretty cool. So that's a little lesson on how to order designs, rename them, and then group them and resort the group order in your temporary group. So I hope this helps. I hope you enjoy this. Please give this a practice on your laptop in Pro-Stitcher and simulation. This is how you learn Pro-Stitcher. And you have, if you look at this, you can see you really have endless amounts of designs that you can group together and make brand new designs right with the designs that came with Pro-Stitcher. So have fun and happy quilting.